The 80s in Poland were troubled, full of fear, anxiety, and scarcity of food, clothing, and other resources, which nowadays we take for granted. Personal freedom, including the ability to travel within the country and abroad, the amount of food one was allowed to buy, and what people could watch on television was centrally controlled. Under such conditions, many industries, including the fashion industry, didn't exist. We had garment factories, but the demand always outstripped the supply. On top of that, deliveries were rare, items pretty random, and one needed to know the right people, such as the store managers or salespeople, to buy anything. Unsurprisingly, shopping was my least favorite activity, as it meant walking from one shop to another, scouting for clothes, shoes, and any other essential items. It was tedious, long, boring, and often unsuccessful. I grew up wearing hand-me-downs, and I didn't mind or couldn't care less. The economic instability forced the government to ration food, household items, clothing, and other essentials. The two times I went to a Christmas party dressed up as a princess, my mom had to improvise both outfits. I wore a navy skirt with Christmas tinsel garlands attached to it for the first party. For the second party, my mom made me a paper hat and accessorized the rest of the outfit with a chain of fake pearls. She also had to convince me that the way I was dressed was just the way princesses looked. Such was life, and you just rolled with it. It wasn't until the 90s when Poland transitioned from communism to democracy, experiencing massive cultural shift almost overnight. During the transition period in the early 1990s, apart from devastating inflation, which left many people financially anxious for life, clothing became more accessible and an early version of a fashion industry started to emerge. Levi's, Mustang, and Wrangler were the first brands I became aware of. The three appeared on the Polish market pretty swiftly. By the mid-90s, every now and then, my parents were in a position to buy me a few of their products. In all honesty, hardly any of their designs fitted me well, were creative or allowed room for self-expression. But I didn't care, as long as I was wearing what I perceived to be a designer label. I finished high school in 1998 and moved to London that summer. The number of clothing stores, the variety of choices, and the affordability of those clothes captured my imagination. I decided to change all of my generic, unflattering clothes and search for self-expression. I don't even know how much money I spent at Dorothy Perkins in the summer of '98. They had a massive store on the corner of Oxford Street and Tottenham Court Road in London, which I visited daily as it was on my way to the English school I attended. Little did I know about the unsustainability of fast fashion, which damages natural environment, depletes natural resources, as well as adds to the erosion of the specialized skills that garment workers have fostered for generations. For many years, I didn't make a connection between the price and the quality of what I bought. In my defense, I was unaware that as early as 1998, clothing production was shipped overseas, where labor protection laws and living wages were non-existent, allowing companies to exploit workers in the name of the profit. To generate a profit on a small margin, fast fashion brands must sell a large volume of items while underpaying their suppliers and producers, a well-documented fact in 2025. For those companies, the bottom line is always to make as much money as possible, regardless of the consequences. The purpose of the fast fashion is to be fast in and even faster out. In reality, it means that the sheer volume of poor quality and poorly made items will end up polluting natural resources. And pollution doesn't stay in one place, it travels extensively. It isn't to say that the fast fashion items can't be treasured or used for years. If you take a good care of your clothes, you can use them for a long time. However, such approach is opposite to how the fast fashion industry wants its customers to behave. As for my personal journey towards awareness, sometime in the mid-2000s, I started noticing the difference between the middle-range clothes and the fast fashion items I was so attached to. The quality of items produced by the middle-range clothing companies have gone down drastically, but it's another story. Back in the early 2000s, the difference was in the materials and how the clothes felt wrapped around my body, as well as the fact that after a few washes, they still retain their original shape. Armed with a bit of more awareness and knowledge, my approach to clothes shopping changed, my taste changed, and above all, I wanted to feel good in what I was wearing and wanted my clothes to last longer than just one season. I decided to focus on quality instead of quantity. The red dress made its way to my wardrobe in 2005. It was the first high-end design item I ever bought, kickstarting a long unhealthy relationship with credit card debt. I still have the silk red dress, which over the years has been worn to fancy parties and a few weddings. Because it was a well-made, classic design, it hasn't gone out of fashion or lost intensity of the color. Hopefully, the dress was made in Italy, as the company claimed. So the workers were paid a decent wage, as long-term environmental sustainability cannot exist without equality and labor rights.